everyone. I'm Miss I. I'm going to be explaining how to solve equations. So solving equations is like super fundamental in algebra, but some people get stuck with it, and so I want to make it like as basic as I possibly can, just like straightforward. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so solving equations practice. The first thing you have to ask yourself is like, what are you solving for? So find the variable, which y'all know is the letter in the equation, circle it so that you know like that's what you want to get by itself. And then once you know what you need to get by itself, you have to basically like delete everything around it, right? It says work backwards to get it by itself. So you have to do the opposite to delete something, right? Like let's say you just type something, you have to press backspace to make it delete. So now if I added something to the variable to delete it, I need to subtract, right? So what's the opposite of plus? Subtract. What's the opposite of subtract? Add. What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. What's the opposite of division? Multiplication, right? So like you just do whatever's opposite to delete the numbers next to your variable. The other thing you got to do is kind of like work backwards. So the first tip I'm going to give you is start with addition and subtraction first, because y'all see in PEMDAS, right? If you're doing the inverse or opposite operation, you should be doing the whole thing backwards, right? So PEMDAS is the order of operations. To do it backwards, you start with these letters, which are addition, subtraction. And then you get to multiplication, division, which comes second. The exponents, parentheses are gonna be a little bit more, but we will get to parentheses today. So really quick practice right here. Circle, what's the variable? 3x minus 10 equals 20. The variable is what you're trying to find out, which means you're going to delete everything next to the variable. Is the 20 next to the variable? No. So the 20 is on the separate side of the equal sign. So you don't mess with that 20. You only really care about the side that has the variable. So that's why I circle it. So now I need to delete the 3 and the 10, because those are the only two things next to the variable on its side. So like, what do we do to do the opposite of minus 10? We're gonna add 10 on both sides, right? What is negative 10 plus 10? Cancels. So 3x is equal to 20 plus 10, which is 30. Now, it's 3x. What's the operation between the 3 and the x? It's multiplication. So what we do is the opposite of multiplication right here is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 cancels, right? It's deleting. And so then we get x is equal to 30 divided by 3, which is 10. And that is how I solved my first equation. But like, this is not really the level that you get in high school. This is a little bit too easy. So I want to show you how to do this kind of stuff, but then like bring it up level by level. So right here we have level 1, level 2, and level 3 that we're going to go through this video. So you can kind of like skip around too if you want. All right, so practice questions level 1. We're just going to use what I just talked about, right? So we're going to kind of do 3 things. First, we're going to circle the variable. We're going to see what is on the same side with the variable. And then we're going to figure out how to delete it and in what order to delete it. So here we have 2x plus 15 equals 45. What's the variable? Circle it. That means that we're going to delete the 2 and the 15. Now, I told y'all to do addition subtraction first. So what are you trying to delete? Are you trying to delete the 2 first or the 15? Got to delete the 15 first. So opposite of plus is minus. Now do it on both sides of the equation. Do everything on both sides of the equation, because if two things are equal to each other, they have to stay the same. So 15 minus 15 will delete. So 2x is left over. 14 minus 15 is 30. Now I have 2 next to the x. What's the opposite of multiplying by 2? Divide by 2. And I have x is equal to 15. There is my answer. Let's go ahead and try number 2. It's going to be a little different. Find me what I'm trying to solve for. The n. What is next to the n? The 13 and the 5. What are we doing first? The divide by 5 or the add 13? Do the add 13 first. Notice how it is to the left, right? It's still adding 13. So what's the opposite of adding 13? Subtract 13. So 13 minus 13 goes away. I'm left with n over 5 is equal to, now I have a negative number. Don't worry about it. Just do the math, right? Use your calculator, whatever. These days we have access to that. So negative 16 minus 13 is also the same thing as negative 6 plus negative 13, which is going to give us negative 21. No, I'm lying. Negative 19. Okay, so I'm trying to get the n by itself. N divided by 5. What's the opposite of dividing by 5? Multiply by 5. And I get n is equal to negative 19 times 5. So 20 times 5 is 100. If I only have 19 times 5, I need to subtract 5. So it'll be negative 95 is my n value. Okay, let's try another one. It looks a little different, right? But focus on what you're trying to solve for. You are solving for the variable. Let me change my color. So you're solving for a. So what's next to the a? You got an 11 and a 77. The 11. What's the operation with the 11? It's not a minus. It's going to be a multiply because the 11 is attached to the variable by multiplying. The 77 is attached to the variable by subtraction. But the 77 itself is positive. So the 77 is basically being added. It's positive to the a. So I'm going to do the opposite of the positive 77 because I do addition and subtraction first. So 77 divided by 77 is equal to 0. That's going to cancel. Let me just not write that. I have 44 is equal to negative 11a. Now, notice how I only crossed out this. Oops. I only crossed out the 77. The minus sign is still there, so you got to keep it. So we mentioned the sign here, or the operation here, is multiplication. So you do the opposite, which is division. Divide by negative 11. They're going to cancel. The a is left here. A positive divided by a negative should be a negative. Whoa. So the answer is negative 4. Okay. Let's try the next one. So what are we solving for here? We are solving for the variable, which is the y. So we're not worrying about the 18 plus 2 yet, but y'all know what that is, right? What's 18 plus 2? 20. Save ourselves some effort rather than writing it all over again. So I have a 30 divided by y, which means that the 30 is there and so is the 5. But I'm supposed to be doing addition subtraction first. So my subtraction here is minus 5. What's the opposite of minus 5? Okay, wait. I was just rewriting this because I did that 20. So the opposite of minus 5 is adding 5. So I have 25 is equal to 30 over y. Now, I have 30 divided by y. So normally we're supposed to just do the opposite, right? So it's like, oh, if I'm dividing by 30, I multiply by 30. But the thing is, I'm not dividing by 30 here. I'm dividing by y. So you have to do an extra step. The opposite of dividing by y is multiplying by y. And you're thinking, hey, that's not going to help me because I'm still working with y. But you have to do that because when the variable's stuck in the bottom of division, there's not really an inverse operation you can do, right? So what I do is I'm going to kind of do the same process where I multiply by y, but I added an extra step over here, which is 25 times y. Now I moved the variable around, right? But I'm just still doing the opposite. So what's the opposite of multiplying by 25 over here? Divide by 25. So I'm going to divide both sides by 25. Y is equal to 30 divided by 25, which is the same thing as 6 over 5, which is not a decimal I'm going to figure out right now. So there's your answer. If you need a decimal, use your calculator. So that's pretty much the first level. Notice the first one is pretty straightforward. You may see a lot of those, but then I have the same exact process, just it looks different in the other 4 problems. So I really wanted y'all to see that.